So if I go and click on, say, a particular case, let me see what's happening right here. Now we're doing something, I think, where we need to get to in BI is, we want to do this for a long time, and now we can. I'm actually bringing you back into the PeopleSoft system. So I'm looking at it from an aggregate viewpoint. Now I can get back into the actual case itself. I can add a note to the case, or I can actually go and close the case.
So this is another thing that we've done, this notion of deep linking into operational systems, where we essentially, our task optimization is done through the lowest leaves of the dashboard. And so that allows us to keep people away from, oh, I'm a PeopleSoft expert, and so I roam around PeopleSoft all day long doing good and not. What we want is somebody who's knocking transactions out till the cows come home, and we're able to fill their queue. And we don't want to have to build that in PeopleSoft because, well, quite frankly, that may not be the only place we need to get that work done. It may be that there's a financial component over here, and there's a different. The dashboard allows us to integrate that task work and then to roll it up so that the outcome of that, day by day, week by week, can feed to the more senior management so they understand what the workloads are that are either advancing their cause or holding them up.
So I'm going to show you a few examples of some other dashboards that we created. This is another one where these are for undergrad admission evaluators. So before, they got spreadsheets every week, and they would have to take these spreadsheets and key it in. These are all the students that were interested in coming to the institution, and we still had to evaluate them. We had to look at their test scores, we had to look at their courses. This now gives you, the manager, a look at this data from a high-level viewpoint. These are all my evaluators right there. How many cases are they working on? And we also added some age there to these cases. So you can't really see many of these, but you can see there's a few cases that are a few weeks old. So I also have the ability now, if I drill on those, I can actually go right back into PeopleSoft, and I can now evaluate the student. I can go to a page where I can look at their test scores, courses, and then I can actually then go and admit the students. So it's looking at it from a BI, and then the deep linking back and doing something, making them actionable.
So what you had before, if you think of the university as process flow, is we pretty much had two indicators. How many people applied to us, how many people showed up on the first day. And everything that happened in between, nobody had any picture of what was happening. Or is it held up because transcripts are coming in too fast and we can't process it? No one had any idea about that process flow. Individual people are working as hard as they can, they're whacking stuff down, you have no idea. You can't predict what's going to occur. This is just no way to run a railroad. And so if we're going to try to get to 100,000 students and find some cost savings along the way without diminishing quality, this is the blocking and tackling that you have to do to make it possible. And then that same intelligence, when it rolls up, tells the leadership exactly what the state of affairs is, without people having to run special reports, secret sauce, as a way of trying to spin the ball. Right? Because, I mean, the minute the report writers get into the game, well, then the report writer has to bring the report to the guy who's about to give it to the president. And the guy looks at it, I'm not taking that to the president. I don't think these numbers are right. And the minion says, which numbers are wrong, sir? These ones that are too low. Well, how are they too low? Well, you're not counting the right things in the right way, comparing them to the right stuff so that we look the best we possibly can. And anybody who's ever been in sales knows this is how it's done. And that's how most reports are written. And that's why you can't tell what's going on. These kinds of systems, they eliminate that possibility.
So here's another example of this is looking at all of the accounts within the IT organization. So when I sign in, it's smart enough to know that these are all the accounts associated with my group. I can quickly tell, where are we at? What's the available balance in those particular accounts? Gives me some indicators about are we close to spending all our money, or is a grant about ready to end? The other thing, if you mouse over these little fire right here, the fire icon, it actually gives you a burn rate, so I can quickly tell in terms of time over money. So I can tell, am I spending so for my research grant, I have 3 years on a research grant, where am I in terms of the money spent as well as in terms of the time duration. And then of course in this dashboard, I can drill right to the ledger record. So there's a couple drills into either the HR side of the house to look at salaries, or I can then go actually right down the transaction level data.
So suddenly, instead of having to be an Advantage expert, Advantage is our financial system, instead of having to be a PeopleSoft expert, a professor. They're all sort of mini entrepreneurs. They have grants, they have small teams, they have to figure out, they're managing money down to the thousand of dollars. Their ability to do that before was somebody would send them a paper report once a month. A paper report that they don't really understand what the rows or the columns are. Here, what they're able to do is absolutely track the burn rate every day. Absolutely see it. Oh, who paid who when? Did this transaction clear or not? They can get to whatever detail they desire, but also be able to, as a department, monitor what's happening in all the research accounts all the way across the system.
And I include this one for you to talk
Okay,
about.
so this is our research dashboard. And I'll just tell you a little story about how this worked. I'm on the board of directors for one of the research groups. And so, you go to find out how's this group doing, how's it meeting its goals. And it was the typical meeting that you have at a university. Well, everyone's doing well, and we're all working hard. So there's some bright spots, and here's some arguments we're going to have about this person having tenure or not having tenure, and blah. And I'm used to business. I thought we were here to talk about research output. We have a goal. We're trying to grow by 30%. Who's hauling the mail? Who's not hauling the mail? How are we, Well, with this research dashboard, I was able to see for this group in total, well, what's the proposal output here? And then somebody would get up and they'd be talking about how great their research program was, and I'd drill into that person. Go ahead, a little further, John. A little further. I'd drill into that person. Go back one. I'd drill in there. I'd say, oh, let's see what proposals you have out there. For how much money? Did this one win? Did it not win? Hey, I noticed that you say you got $1 million, but that's the same $1 million the guy up before you had. So that's really only $500,000 each, right? So suddenly I'm the smart, I've never seen any of these people before. And I'm the smartest guy in the room because I'm able to use that dashboard. That was a really cool way to debut this dashboard. Because I didn't let on how I was doing. I would just go, well, how did that propose? Well, we didn't get that. Oh, I see. Well, how about this? Well, is your output climbing or falling? Well, I don't know. Well, I can tell you that it's falling. And it's falling in this way. And I think maybe what the reason is that you're not submitting proposals of a large enough magnitude. Because this fellow, come on. It's like being a savant. It's like having Google in an argument. Right? You know what I mean about having Google in an argument? Remember when you used to argue about stuff? Like who won the Academy Award in 1945 or whatever? And your opinion counted for something. You can insist. No, I know it was some old actress. I just know it was. And people would listen to you. And now it's like, whatever. We just look it up, we're done. That's what this does. That's absolutely what this does. It's not about the technology, right? It's about being able to utilize it to just cut through the lies to get to the truth. And it's amazing the difference that it can make. This is absolutely having a measurable impact on the growth of our research expenditures, which is a huge piece of how we'll cope with the financial crisis we find ourselves in. So even though ASU is receiving cuts from the state, we're actually growing in revenue. Because A, lots of students don't want to come to us, and B, our research expenditures are continuing to grow. But I think one more thing I want to show. Go back. One more. This idea that I can do this for anybody in the university introduces a level of transparency that changes the culture. And if you don't think this is hotly contested, right? And this isn't like who are you, IT boy, to be coming here telling us who should see what day? This is an outrage.